Am I the fool for insisting we change our son's name? My wife, 24 female, and I, 28 male, had our first baby 5 months ago. We've been together for 6 years, married for 5. He is a beautiful little boy and we gave him the same first name as my wife's father, Keith. My wife grew up hating her father for cheating on her mother and abandoning the family. In the past decade, he worked tirelessly to improve their relationship. In her family, it's typically tradition for the first grandson and granddaughter to be named after their grandparents, and my wife was proud to name our son after her father. However, a few weeks ago, my wife and her father had a massive argument. Turns out, he is convinced that for some reason, I am going to cheat on my wife. He thinks we got married too young and I'll get bored of her now that she's devoting all her time to our son. He told my wife this after she opened up to him about how worried she was about being pregnant so soon after giving birth. We didn't plan the second pregnancy, and a few days after the argument my wife miscarried, and it was a painful moment for the both of us. Essentially, he kicked her while she was already down for no reason. I had a friendly relationship with him, but I know he wanted my wife to marry someone from her own background. Since the argument, my wife has not been calling our son by his name. She's using nicknames, calling him the baby, etc. She said that she needs time to get over the argument with her dad, but she also blames him for the miscarriage, which is something I don't think she'll get over. Phil has made no attempts to apologize or reconcile. A month into my wife refusing to use our baby's name, I said that we needed to change it because it'll be better for my wife's mental health and our son's development. If this argument continues or is ever brought up again, she can't be too upset to use his name when he's old enough to actually know it. We've started the process now to change the name, and somehow it got back to Phil, and he knows that I suggested it. He is infuriated. He said that I was supposed to be the level-headed one since my wife is postpartum and recovering from a miscarriage, and that I've just made their rift a million times worse since I've denied him the family tradition. My in-laws think I'm an asshole for insisting on the name change, since now it'll be even harder for them to reconcile. I don't think I'm an but my brother said it would be a good idea to get an unbiased opinion. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for suggesting that my brother and his fiancée bring out a cake at midnight on their wedding day for our grandma's 80th birthday? My older brother is getting married to his partner on July 20th, a date that they agreed on in January and shared with the family. July 21st is our grandma's 80th birthday. She comes from a line of women where none of them lived past the age of 80, so it's a big deal for her, and she announced last year that she wanted to go all out with a weekend-long celebration. When my brother announced his wedding date, she was the first one to react with kindness, considering he forgot all about her 80th birthday plans when deciding upon the wedding date. They had made several down payments before announcing, so there was no point in asking them to move the wedding a week before or later for Grandma. And Grandma wouldn't allow it. She ultimately decided to have a relaxing, low-key Sunday dinner because my brother and his fiancée also want to have a post-wedding brunch that day for relatives and the bridal party. My mom and I got to talking, and we thought it would be super fun if, at midnight, us grandkids could surprise Grandma with a cake and have the band play her favorite song so we could share a dance with her. It seemed like a fun way to include such an important milestone into the celebratory weekend, since she was giving up her big birthday bash in favor of the wedding. I called my brother immediately to share the idea with him, and he loved it. He even came up with the idea to make the cake England-themed because Mom and I are taking her to England in September as our gift. It's a lifelong dream of hers to go. That is, he loved it until he didn't, meaning until he spoke with his fiancée. He called to say the cake deal for Gran was off, and that same night I received a text from his fiancée telling me I should have checked with her first if she would be okay with it, and how I was being insensitive, rude, and selfish for meddling with her special day. Yes, her special day. Not my brother's special day or their special day, her special day. She really seems like a good person and we get along well despite not being super close, but it seemed logical to me to contact my brother since it's also his wedding and it's his grandma, not hers. I responded back by saying it was my brother's special day as well and how he was initially thrilled by the idea. I also told her I didn't appreciate her accusing me of meddling, since both Mom and I have fully respected the fact that she planned the entire wedding with her mom, leaving us out of the loop, despite my parents paying for a portion of the wedding. My mom was bummed about being fully excluded, even though all she would have wanted was to know how everything was going. The wedding reception is scheduled to end at 2 a.m., and by midnight she'll already have been the center of attention. It's not like someone is going to jump out of her wedding cake and propose to another person. My text was met with a phone call from my brother, who basically told me the conversation is over as I've overstepped my boundaries. Am I the fool? Update: the wedding is off. After the conflict between me and my brother's former fiancée, which resulted in a phone call from my brother, I decided to text her 3 days later to apologize. Even though my family and the internet sided with me, I just didn't want any bad mojo or to be a SIL from hell. My text was met with a lot of anger on my dad's behalf, which really surprised me because the man supports me no matter what. He was telling me how I shouldn't have been the one to apologize, and he let another thing slip out. End of February, the bride's dad asked my dad, in confidence, if he could pitch in additional money for his daughter's dream wedding because he didn't think it was fair he had to pay more due to tradition. My mom didn't know about this, which prompted fight number 1. My dad was pissed that I was the one to apologize even though I was the one that was insulted, so he called my brother behind our backs and told him that he respects the fact that she will be his wife and his primary family, but how he also thinks he should have checked her for insulting me the same way he checked me for crossing a boundary. He then did what dads sometimes do best, go off with a monologue after keeping shit inside for months. He told him about the additional money that he gave, and he told him he wasn't convinced the overlapping events were a coincidence. Fight number 2 ensued. My brother called our mom the next day to tell her the wedding was off. All hell broke loose. We then couldn't get in touch with my brother or his fiancée for almost a week. Her mom then got a hold of my work email and emailed me saying I had ruined her daughter's life. I forwarded the email to my brother and he finally called me back. He said it felt like she wanted to marry for the wedding, not for the marriage. She also admitted to making her dad ask our dad for more money so she could afford a wedding flower package she wanted that was an additional $7,000, and she saw nothing wrong with keeping it a secret from my brother. She also refused to at least acknowledge my apology and to apologize back to me. My brother told her he would like to postpone the wedding and work on their issues, and she ended up calling off the wedding and breaking up with him. My relationship with my brother is still a wreck. He said he needs time because he loves her, but he understands she didn't prioritize him as much as he did her. Grandma's birthday bash is back on, and we're happy for her. She's excited as heck after the initial turmoil. I miss my brother so much, and it sucks knowing how heartbroken he is, but at least he's talking to my parents and he has the rest of the family as his support system. I really hope we can rebuild our relationship someday. I'm glad he won't marry the wrong person for the wrong reasons, but it's awful being the trigger to his life falling apart, and I regret everything. Am I the fool for not wanting to drive my coworker home anymore? I have a coworker who lives 3 miles away from me. A few months ago she asked if I could give her a ride home since her car was at the mechanic. I agreed to drive her, and it became a regular thing for me to drive her home. At first it wasn't a big deal because I thought it would stop soon. As time passed it started to feel like an inconvenience. She never offered to pay for gas, not even split, and she never returned the favor, and she often made me stay longer at work because she wasn't ready to leave at normal times. Last week I told her I can't drive her anymore home from work because I have things to do and I want the flexibility to leave work when I need to. It looked like she understood me at first, but then she started to give me the cold shoulder. Our coworkers are split about the situation. Some think I was right and told her the truth, and others don't understand my point of view and told me I should still drive her home from work. Am I the fool for not wanting to drive her anymore? Am I the fool for not helping my parents pay for my younger sister's big birthday gift? I, 17 male, have 2 younger sisters. Ava, 15 female, is younger, and Ria, 14 female, is the youngest. Ria and I are really close and I'd do anything for her, anytime. We can annoy each other and sometimes we fight, but she's one of my favorite people. We're the closest in our family by far. I can't stand Ava. Ria wishes they had a better relationship with Ava. Can be such a bully to Ria. Sometimes it's like Ava wanted to be an only child. She's worse toward Ria, which bothers me more than if she was that way with me. But she can also be a total jerk to me. Sometimes it's annoying little kid things. But she's also quick to be more cruel. She can go from hiding my phone somewhere and refusing to tell me where it is, which led to a broken phone once, to ruining my homework because I wouldn't help with hers, which is code for doing her homework for her. One time she deleted my entire finished essay because I wouldn't do her math homework for her. Another time she spilled water all over my assignment sheet. When we were younger it was worse because we got a lot of handouts and it was easier. With Ria she's way worse. She tries to humiliate her by telling kids stuff that Ria did that others would make fun of her for, like when she used to have accidents when we were little, or how one time puked all over Santa. Ava also outed Ria as a lesbian before Ria wanted to be out. Ava wasn't even told. She heard Ria and me talking and decided to spill to people. Our parents discipline Ava and they try to make it up to us. But I know they expect forgiveness when Ava doesn't ask for it, and that's where this comes in. Every year for our birthday we get 1 big gift and 3 much smaller ones. The big one always takes priority. Ava's birthday is in a couple of weeks and they had to spend a portion of the money set aside for her big gift because we had a big plumbing leak. So they asked me if I would share the cost with them so Ava can still get her big gift. They know I have a job and that I save money. So I get why they'd think to ask me. But for Ava? I said no. My parents told me they know we have our issues, but she's still my sister, and they said I will make things worse if I don't do this for her, because she knows I would do it for Rhea in a heartbeat. I told them Rhea deserves it, Ava doesn't, and she definitely doesn't deserve it from me. My parents said they'd give me the money back in $50 each week, and I said no way again. They told me they were disappointed I would hold such a grudge against my little sister. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for telling my friend to ask me about using my tools? I have a well-stocked garage with a variety of tools that I have collected, got gifted or bought over the past 10 years for my DIY projects. My neighbor is also my good friend. He has borrowed tools from me multiple times before, but he used to ask, and of course I didn't mind sharing my tools, but I started noticing he takes tools without asking like it's a habit to him. A few days ago I needed my power drill for a project I was doing at home. I sent a text to my neighbor to ask if he took it, and he confirmed he did take it a few days ago without telling me. This wasn't the first time it happened, and it delayed my project for another 2 days. When he returned it, I told him nicely to at least send me a text asking if he could borrow something or go ask me directly. He got defensive and started a tantrum saying it isn't a big deal because we are friends and he always returns them in good condition, which is true. I told him again to still ask me because I might need something at the same time. He started ignoring me lately. Am I the fool for telling him to ask me before he takes my tools? Am I the fool for refusing to cancel a $500 VIP ticket knowing that my parents would not allow it, causing tension in family? Background: I, 20F, bought a VIP ticket in May for a concert in the end of July that was close to $500. I had worked very hard that month to be able to pay for it, but I did not consult my parents before making this decision. My parents, dad is 40 and mom is 42, are conservative and Christians. This is on the back of me being upset for not being allowed to go to a concert with some friends the day that we hit a deer, and them not liking that I would not shut up about being upset and letting them know I was not happy with dealing with consequences for something that did not harm us. As well as a just settled argument between my parents. Story: I was planning on telling them in July on my birthday so that they would likely let me go, but unfortunately they checked my bank statements and saw the payment before I could tell them myself. These disagreements have caused a lot of tension, and we are getting more on edge the closer the concert gets. My sister, F22, and brother, M14, have said that they understand that I will not cancel the ticket, but that I went about the wrong way and should have told my parents before I bought it, especially knowing how they are. My parents, since the finding of the ticket, have been on my back about canceling it and say that I am humiliating, disrespecting, and undermining their authority as parents for saying that I will not cancel the ticket. They have lectured me multiple times on this and seem to not like that I also give them my opinions on the matter, when I should just obey what they say as they are my parents and should just be obedient as the Bible says to honor your father and mother. These last couple of weeks have been hard, as now that my parents are sort of excluding me, my siblings have had to step in and filling in what I would usually do around the house and with helping my parents with their various chores or business they need to take care of. My siblings are quieter than they have been, and my parents are more upset than usual with us, which has us walking on eggshells. From my parents' viewpoint, they have said that as my parents they deserve to know any decisions I make and that me not consulting them was not right. They are upset that I did not communicate with them and that I am not obeying their world, when as Christians we should not be associating with these worldly activities. They have let me know that I am hurting their feelings by not understanding that me going is putting me in danger and causing me to sin, that they are only looking out for me and don't want me to go down a path that could damage my well-being. Am I the fool for telling my dad he's lucky mom chose to stay with despite his insufferable behavior? So my female 20 mom and my dad recently got into an argument and they haven't been talking ever since. My dad, for as long as I can remember, has been misogynistic. He'd always downplay mom's feelings and emotions and would go as far as to say really offensive things about her while there were guests over at our house. His biggest fear is mom making important decisions or people thinking that he's not the head of the family. He also continuously made comments about how women should do all the housework, that mom never worked, have been doing all the chores and taking care of 3 children on her own and also looking after dad's relatives. Anyways, their fight went as follows: Dad and my sister's husband, were sitting at the table and Dad was making some snarky remarks about my sister's child. Mom got angry and told him, if you're done eating and don't like your granddaughter's company that much, then just leave. He got furious because he was humiliated in front of another man. They haven't been talking since and he said he'd never forgive her. Drama queen behavior, I know. Today they fought about it again. He told her to FO and repeated all the offensive things. Mom got really upset, started crying and left, she also has a tendency to faint when she's overwhelmed. It's a medical condition, which we try to prevent, but he didn't care. So he started saying offensive things about mom to me, and I was like, you know you're in the wrong, right? It's so stupid to blow this out of proportion, and you're lucky mom stayed with you despite your absolutely insufferable behavior when she could have and should have left like your 2 previous wives did. He told me I was the asshole. Reddit, am I the fool? Am I the fool for asking my roommate's boyfriend to pay rent when he doesn't live with us? My 18 female roommate has been dating her boyfriend for a couple of months. He sleeps over at our flat at least 3 times a week, uses our shower for about 45 minutes every time as well, and eats our food and turns up our central heating and just acts as if he lives here. Our water and electricity has gone up since she started dating him. We pay our household bills 50-50 as we use about the same amount of everything, but I don't want to pay for what he is using because I need to save as much money as possible. I'm at the end of my 2nd year of college, and I'm basically living off pot noodles. I asked my roommate to pay for the added cost and she said no because it's not her who is making it higher and it's better if we just each pay half of the added cost. So I asked her to get her boyfriend to pay for it and she said no because he doesn't even live here. I said I didn't care because he's still causing our bills to go up, so either she pays for it or he does. She said it wasn't that big of a deal and she doesn't understand why I care so much when more extra costs and I might have to start skipping meals. She doesn't really understand why I have such a strict budget. Her parents support her financially, but mine said, you can starve to death, after I moved out at 16 because they were completely hateful. Am I the fool for not allowing my stepchildren to move in? My wife has 6 children who were 18 plus when we met 4 years ago. I have no bio kids. 2 years ago, the youngest daughter moved in. The dynamic between her and my wife created tension in the house. Additionally, the daughter didn't believe she should work, provide for herself, or go to college/trade school. She eventually moved out of state to live with friends because they let her cook and clean and not work. Months later, the oldest son moved in after discharge from the military. The same weekend, his wife and 2 young kids also moved in. A week later, he decided to move cross-country, leaving us to provide for his family. 9 months ago, my wife and I moved out of state, alone. After 4 months, we took in the oldest son's 4 years old out of concern for his safety. This arrangement may be long-term. Recently, the middle daughter asked to move after breaking up with her BF. I said no. The oldest son suggested moving in, potentially helping with his son. I said no. Last night, the youngest daughter asked to move in again. She found a room to rent after her friends decided to move to another apartment without her. While at the room, she heard screams from her upstairs neighbor and called the cops. She was scared and left. I said no. Now she and the oldest daughter aren't speaking to my wife. Additional context, I'm self-employed, relatively new business and the sole provider. Taking in the 4 years old has been quite an adjustment, draining, but he's a great kid. I feel some of the stepchildren judge my wife, because we live well, and think she should do more for them. Honestly, I don't want to take on the responsibility of others' decisions. I'll assist in solutions, but don't want to be the solution. I've helped in other ways like paying rent, but drew the line at moving in. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for not letting someone into my apartment complex? Today while walking, 26 female, around my apartment complex there was a man I did not recognize trying to get into one of the main doors. After attempting to get in without a fob, he walked up to me and rudely asked if I could let him in. To which I replied, I'm not going in there. After I said that, he said, okay, which door are you going into then? I'll follow you, in an annoyed tone. At this point I did not reply, and I started walking away. He began to follow me, and I began to feel uncomfortable. I then walked across the street away from the apartment, so he would stop following me. After this he called me an asshole, and began knocking on the gym window for someone to let him in. Am I actually an asshole for not letting him in? I will admit my approach to saying no might have been rude, but I felt uncomfortable. Am I the fool for requesting my mother find a different dress for my wedding? Some context, I am getting married next June 2025, and I thought it would be nice for immediate family to have a color to wear, just so pictures look coordinated. I've asked my mom and future MIL to wear a sort of terracotta/rust red color. I told them they can pick the dress, or can have a pattern, be any length, it doesn't even have to exactly match the color swatch I showed them, I don't care, just wanted everything to look cohesive in a red hue. I thought this was pretty straightforward, but my mom keeps sending me tons of dresses she's looking at to ensure they are the right color. Each time I tell her that as long as it's a reddish color, it's totally fine, just to let me know what she ends up picking. She sent me a picture this morning, red dress with white top. And then called me to say this was the dress she was going to go with as long as the color was right. I told her the color was fine, but I would prefer that she didn't wear a dress with white. She seemed to take this well. She only had a couple comments like, "Well, I thought it was pretty," and "There aren't very many options." Now cut to this afternoon, I am talking again with my mom and she starts talking about the dress color again, saying she's very confused with the color I'm asking her to find. I told her again that I thought any red hue color would be perfectly fine, it wasn't a huge deal. She then told me that she really liked the dress she showed me earlier with the white because it broke up the dress. She said she felt like she needed the white top or else she would look like a menstrual cycle. I was a little taken aback that she was comparing the color to a period. Anyway, I told her that I thought it would be nice if only I was wearing white, and that if she wanted to find a dress with a pattern that was fine, to break it up a little, but I would prefer that she didn't wear white. She came back telling me that it's okay to wear white as long as it's not a lot, like a white shirt with a skirt would be okay. I told her again that I would prefer that she didn't wear white. She is now upset with me and being very passive-aggressive. Am I the asshole for not wanting her to wear white? Even if it's just the top of the dress? I feel like there are thousands of red dresses online to choose from. It shouldn't be hard to find one that is red and doesn't make you look like a period stain. I'm feeling upset with her, but maybe the not wearing white to someone's wedding is outdated and I should let it go? Please help. Am I the fool for cooking my brother's strawberry without permission? So I have a brother, 29 male, who loves buying foods that will leave to rot in the fridge. Last week, he bought a bag of fresh strawberries, and went on a work-related trip the day after. Last night, I was feeling down, and I opened the fridge, and saw the strawberries. No one likes fresh strawberry in my family, so no one bothered to eat it. I checked it and noticed that some are going bad. Since my brother loves to let his food rot, I decided to make a strawberry cheesecake out of it. I picked strawberries that are still in good condition, while removed the bad parts. Then, I turned them to jam and put them as a topping to the cheesecake. My brother returned home this morning, and noticed the strawberry cheesecake. He loved it, but realized his strawberry is missing. When I told him that's the ingredient I used since it is going bad, he got angry. He said I should have asked permission first before cooking his food. Our mom agreed with him. Am I the fool? I just don't want to waste that bag of strawberries. Am I the fool for not caring that my son's feelings are hurt and not consoling him? Asshole. I'm a 34-year-old male, married to my wife, a 32-year-old female, for just over 2 years. We've been together for 6 years and have a great life together. My wife has a 13-year-old son from a previous relationship who lives with us, and I've been in his life since he was 8. I have had dreadlocks for the past 15 years, and naturally, my son wanted to emulate me by getting locks of his own, which he's had for 5 years. Although I strive to be a good father, my son is very spoiled. Whenever I try to instill some discipline, I face resistance from him, his mother, and his grandparents. As a result, I've resigned myself to giving him what he wants, figuring there's no point in trying to discipline him if no one else supports it. He's not a disrespectful child, but he's not as respectful as he could be and is very spoiled. Recently, some kids at his school have been bullying him about his hair, trying to convince him to cut it. His grandfather had already told him not to let the kids bully him into cutting his hair. One day, while we were around some of his friends, he expressed a desire to cut his locks. I reminded him of his grandfather's words and told him he couldn't cut it. In front of his friends, he called his grandmother, asked if he could cut his hair, and she said yes. He then looked at me and said, "I bet I cut my hair." I responded that we had spent too much money on his hair and he shouldn't let anyone bully him into cutting it. A week later, my wife asked me again if our son could cut his hair. Frustrated, I said it was his hair and he could do whatever he wanted, but reminded her that his grandfather had said no. Ultimately, he got his hair cut. As you can guess, he now regrets it and wants to reattach his locks. My wife told me about his frustration, but I feel no sympathy because I warned him he wouldn't like it, yet he did it anyway. Here's why I think I might be the AH. My wife expressed that I need to be more comforting to him and sensitive to his feelings because this is a hard lesson for him. I responded by saying that I told him it is just hair and it will grow back, but I am not consoling him or having any pity or sympathy towards him because of the disrespect I received when he chose to call his grandmother in front of me and attempt to shame me in front of his friends. For this, I will not console a 13-year-old who had no respect for me. I don't care that his feelings are hurt because I warned him and, in the end, he got exactly what he wanted. It's not my fault he doesn't like it. I tried to warn him, and now he has to deal with the consequences. She is upset because I don't have more sympathy for him. Am I the fool for telling my best friend to sell his Bitcoin when it was worth $25,000? I bought my best friend's son a Bitcoin for his first birthday back in the day when they were $400 in 2015. I personally had been buying since 2012, so I knew about BTC earlier on. Anyway, since 2015 crypto went up to like 60K at some point and dropped back down. In 2023 I was worried his investment would drop even more. And since crypto is a risky investment, I suggested he sell because $25,000 is still a lot of money he could use for college one day or just let it grow in a mutual fund. IDK. At that time I wasn't really selling any of my personal crypto. I told him exactly what I said above. It can go up to $100,000 or down to zero, but $25,000 was still lots of money. I didn't really pressure him to sell, and I told him I wasn't selling my own crypto. Anyway, he told me that made him start thinking about it endlessly, and then he sold it at $25K. This year it went back up to $70,000 and we are in bad relations. He told me his wife calls me the village idiot and he's the village idiot's retard friend who could have been rich. They are about to go through a divorce and he told me it's because I involved myself in their life. So we stopped talking. I was trying to do a good thing for my friend originally, and if you told me back in 2015 my $400 gift would turn into $25,000 one day, I would be so happy. But because of this situation I lost a friend, and I can see it from his viewpoint. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for not paying for future SIL's hotel room at our wedding? I, 31 female, am marrying my wonderful fiancé, 30 male, in Vegas next year. We are going more budget-friendly, getting married at the Little White Chapel, and not having an actual reception/party after. We're paying for everyone's dinner at a nice buffet, so there's something for everyone. It's just going to be a couple friends and immediate family. Our family lives all over the place, so there isn't really a central location to have a wedding that's convenient for everyone, and we've both talked about having a Vegas wedding since we met. We did agree to pay for our parents' hotel rooms, so they are in the same hotel as us, and where we're having dinner after the wedding, they just have to pay for their plane tickets. Kind of pricey, but my parents don't have the money to spend on the hotel, so we figured we'd be fair and pay for both sets of parents to be there. After hearing we're paying for the parents' rooms, my fiancé's sister, F23, is reaching out asking if we're paying for her room as well since she doesn't have the money for it. He explained that we're only paying for the parents, but she can ask to share with their parents since there's 2 queen beds in their room. She wants to bring her BF and his parents won't allow her to share a room with them and him, their choice. She said it's unfair to only pay for some of the guests' rooms and not others, and if he wants her there he'll pay for her and her BF's room. He explained is not in the wedding budget and she'll have to come up with the money for a room if she wants to come. Now his other sisters are telling us that we should pay for her room if we want her to be there since my fiancé knows she's bad with money. He's told them attending isn't mandatory, and while it would be nice if the whole family could attend, he understands if they can't afford it since it's a destination wedding. He suggested the 3 of them share a room, but they all have significant others they want to bring, so they don't want to share rooms. Now all 3 sisters are saying they aren't coming because we're too good to pay for his little sister even though we're paying for my parents to attend. I feel like they're just trying to guilt trip us into paying, and it's working because he feels guilty for only paying for some people's rooms. I'm holding firm that we aren't paying, but he thinks we might be in the wrong here. Am I the fool for paying for the parents' hotel rooms and not others? Am I the fool for refusing to host my husband's best friend and his family? My husband has a childhood friend, both the same age. This friend had his wedding during COVID in 2020. Strict measures, you know the drill. At that time, we were living abroad, so crossing borders was nearly impossible. When he got the invite, we had only been together for a few months, so it was a fresh relationship. They invited him alone. I was working in a COVID ward and managed to get him across the border as a worker in a private car, about an 8-hour journey, and I also got him a PCR test 2 hours before departure. I mention this because the whole arrangement wasn't easy. He attended the wedding with a gift, stayed with his parents, wedding was nearby. 4 years later, we were getting married in Chateau, about 4 hours from both my family and his, so halfway, and invited the friend along with his wife and child. They said they'd come and make a trip out of it, exploring the area. He was the only friend for whom we paid accommodation right at the venue, just like for family, 5 * hotel. I was already struggling with this, as we had agreed not to cover accommodation for friends. It's also worth noting that this friend is a teacher and the wedding was on a Saturday, a week before the end of the school year. A few days before the wedding, they called to say they wouldn't come because he didn't get leave for Monday and it wasn't worth the trip for just a few days. We ended up paying for the room since it was too late to cancel. We didn't receive a gift or even a congratulatory card from them. Today, they wrote saying they want to visit because they're going to an event in our city and would appreciate accommodation for them and his sister. I'm against it because I don't see a reason to take leave, pick them up from the train station, and host them when I don't view them as friends anymore. No contact throughout the year, no birthday or name day wishes. My husband disagrees, saying it's his best friend and I'm preventing him from seeing him. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for texting my best friend late at night in bed when my husband was there? Last night me and my husband were both in bed, getting ready to settle for the night. He was on his phone, asking me to order him something online as I have a free shipment on that website. I ordered him one item and then while he was browsing the website I replied to a text my best friend from work, female, sent me. He got angry saying that I can't even devote a few minutes to him, that it is wrong my best friend is texting me that late at night etc. I said that I didn't do anything wrong, it's my best friend who he has met a few times. He asked me to see the texts from that day, counted my replies, 28, and asked if I were okay if he was texting someone so often especially that late at night. I said that he is crazy, that I'm allowed to have a best friend, female, and to text her as many times during the day as I want even late at night. I would understand if he was upset over a male friend, but this is crazy. So am I the fool for texting my best friend late at night in bed when my husband was there? Am I the fool for going on vacation knowing my sister was going into the hospital? For context, I, 24 female, have an older sister, 28 female, who has a history of mental illness and has been admitted to the hospital for this multiple times in the past. We've always been unbelievably close, some would even say too close, but have had a lot of updates and downs in our relationship. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when she was 18 and has also been diagnosed with severe anxiety. I have had difficulty fully understanding how to go about supporting her in the ways she wants while also not compromising myself and what I need. She recently became a new mother to the sweetest 11-month-old baby boy and has been struggling with crippling anxiety. She has difficulty leaving the house and her baby, and is constantly being overwhelmed by worry and panic. It has gotten so bad that multiple doctors have recommended she be hospitalized again. Well, me and my boyfriend who are long distance at the moment are spending the summer together and had planned to spend 4th of July in one state over. We have had this plan for a while now, and when I found out that she was going to be hospitalized the day after the 4th of July, I honestly didn't think much of it. It has now become a huge argument where she is threatening to never speak to me again if I don't stay and be with her and said that I am not there for her in her time of need. We speak every day and we live a mile blocks from one another. She also said that she is never going to forgive me for this and that my actions are eye-opening because I wouldn't spend one more day with her when I had also seen her just the day before. Ever since I've been in a relationship, she has become a lot more hostile towards me and asks me to rearrange plans with him to fit her needs if she is going through a hard time. I am struggling with this and don't think I am the fool, but maybe I am? She expects a lot out of me and our relationship and it's hard for me to express that maybe we don't always need to be joined at the hip and we have our own lives now. She expected me to cancel my trip with my boyfriend and when I pushed back and said no she said it was unforgivable. I am trying not to take it too personally as everyone is telling me that it's not my fault and that she is just going through hard time right now, but am I the asshole? She requested I don't visit her in the hospital so we are going to talk once she is out. Am I the fool for choosing my career over my brother's kids? For context, I, 28 female, have a brother, 25 male, and he and his wife, 25 female, had twin boys about a year ago. The twins were unexpected but even so, I would say they transitioned relatively smoothly into parenthood. My brother and his wife were both able to take time away from work to raise the twins. While my sister-in-law was able to stay home, my brother had to return to work since they weren't expecting 2 babies. This and the fact that my sister-in-law wasn't working led to her eventually going back to work early as well, which left them the issue of child care. My brother and Sil both work hard and money was really tight for them, so they asked if I could take care of the babies a few days per week so they could cut down on costs. I am fortunate enough to work from home most days and live alone, so I agreed because it felt like it was something I could do for them and bond with the babies. We have had this arrangement going on since my brother and Sil returned to work and it was fine at first. Work was relatively slow and I was happy to spend time with my nephews. However, taking care of them has created a strain not only on myself but my bank account as well, since they are growing. My brother and Sil often work late, meaning I am feeding them dinner and taking care of them well into the evening. I haven't put up much of a fuss and I haven't been charging them because of their financial situation. However, work has progressively been getting more busy and has started to take more attention from me. I was also recently offered a higher position in the company, but it would require me to work fully in person. Today, while I was with my brother, I told him about my promotion and that I would not be able to take care of the twins anymore. He freaked out and called me a terrible sister, saying that I was abandoning my family. I wasn't really able to explain myself further because he left in a hurry all angry. A couple hours ago, I received some really nasty messages from my SIL and my parents, saying that I am extremely selfish, disgusting and shameful for choosing work over family. My parents aren't able to help, as they live on the other side of the country and are not mobile. I know if I stop helping with childcare, my brother's family will suffer, so now I'm rethinking my decision. Am I the fool for refusing to use the fridge and having two of my own? Not the a-hole. I, female 21, live in a college apartment that houses 4. We all have bedrooms, but we share a living room and kitchen space. I moved in with one friend, but the other 2 girls seemed pretty nice. Quickly into the year, I noticed the fridge getting crowded and starting to smell. I shot a text to our group chat that the fridge was too full and there was some rotting food, so I asked if everyone could double-check and make sure none of it was theirs. They all agreed, but over the next few days, it didn't get better. My friend removed what was hers, but there was still a lot of rotting food and some sticky stuff forming. At Christmas break, everyone went home. While I stayed, I had to work. I finally decided that I was going to clean the entire fridge, and warned the chat that I was throwing out anything rotten or expired. They said they were fine with that, and about 95% of the food in there was unusable. It took close to 5 hours to finish, plus the dumpster was down 4 stories. I took pictures of rotten meats, moldy leftovers, and liquefied vegetables. It was a disgusting experience, and I even ran some of the shelves through the dishwasher. I texted the chat that we should come up with a plan to prevent this, and suggested splitting the fridge up by person. My friend texted privately and said that she wouldn't have enough room for her stuff if we did that. I just chalked it up to the fridge already being messy before we moved in and let it go. Spring semester, it started happening again, and I just got fed up. I moved food that belonged to me to my room. My boyfriend was moving, so he offered to give me his fridge too. I took it, and my friend mentioned using it as a living room fridge. I just moved it into my room and used one for food, one for drinks. I saw them texting again towards the end of the year that the fridge smelled and for everyone to check, and I just said that I had my own fridges in my room. This didn't sit well, and one of our roommates even stopped speaking to us before they moved out. My friend mentioned that since I was the last to leave I should check to make sure that everything was clean. This pissed me off, since I wasn't even using the fridge, but she had done a lot of cleaning herself, so I did. Of course, it was still disgusting, but I just let her know and didn't bother to clean it. Most have agreed with me that it's not my job to clean up after others, and it's valid to choose not to participate in using the fridge. However, my roommates were being incredibly passive-aggressive about it, and some of my other friends and family think I should have just sucked it up and helped them keep it clean because that's what living with people is like. TLDR, my roommates keep making our shared fridge gross, so I took all my stuff out and started using 2 personal mini fridges in my room. I don't touch or clean the shared fridge, and it'll be gross when we move in again. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for not going on family vacation? So I am a college student who pays for everything on their own. This includes gas, food, sorority stuff, car payments, and you get the point here. Since it is summer, I am trying to save up as much as possible so that during the semester I don't have to burn myself out studying and working. Well, my family already went on vacation this summer for a week, and while on that vacation they suggested going on another one for also a week. However, I said no. I have to focus on getting more hours, and I'd personally rather just stay home and focus on what I need to be doing as well as try and get my AC fixed because it's 200 degrees Fahrenheit here in Texas. My parents did not want to take no for an answer and instead suggested they'd offer me a loan for the missed week of work. I said no still, as I'd have to find a way to pay back the loan, and quite frankly I don't want to leave. I also have a few workshops during the time I'd be gone. I was met with them questioning why I moved out when they offer me a place and that I'm being irresponsible with my money. That I need to go as a family because I'll have the rest of my life to work. I told them I'm an adult and I've made my decision, and they are angry I didn't reconsider. So Reddit, am I the fool? Am I the fool for telling my parents I won't go to my half-sister's birthday dinner? Not the a-hole. My 17 male, half-sister, almost 27 female, is turning 27 in 2 weeks. Her husband and his family and my half-brother, 25 male, have planned a birthday dinner for her, and the ILs invited my parents, her mom and stepdad, and me. Her husband then suggested it might be better if I stayed home since I'm not old enough to drink. But I know the real reason for the suggestion is my half-siblings don't really want anything to do with me. They don't want my dad around either, but he gets invited because my mom wouldn't go without him. She also wouldn't ever leave me behind from normal stuff, so they invite me, but they normally don't talk to me or only do like basic hi and bye if they have people who'd question it, like mom. My mom genuinely believes things are better now that they're older. That I'm a sibling in their eyes. But I know it's not true. My mom and dad think I could still go to the dinner and they won't drink either, so we'll be cool. I told them I'd prefer to stay at home, and if it was going to be a big deal, me being there, then they should go without me. Mom called my half-brother and he made like 100 excuses about why I should stay at home. Mom called him out for making it sound like he doesn't want me to go. She ended up calling my half-sister then, who also made a bunch of excuses, but when Mom started to ask why it would be such a big deal to have me at a restaurant, she said it was fine if I was there. I'm really not looking forward to the party, so I told my parents I'm not going because I don't want to go and they should go without me. My mom was really upset about it and she told me I should be there to support my sister, that I shouldn't let the excuses get me down because they really do want me there. My dad told me as long as they're civil like they are with him, as painful as it can be, we should still show up because we are a family at the end of the day. For those wondering on more BG, their dad, my mom's first husband, died and mom remarried quickly. They never adjusted to that and they always kept my dad at a distance and me too. I don't think they hate us. But I know they wish mom hadn't brought us into their lives. They tolerate our presence to keep mom. But I have never felt loved, liked, or cared for by them, and I know they don't consider me a sibling. I have heard them say they have one sibling only before. Also, my half-sister's husband pretty much knows the way things are. Her ILs don't seem to be as aware when they invited me so readily. Both half-siblings send me birthday cards and Christmas cards every year, but they never reply if I say thanks. They never reply to any texts or DMs I send, so I stopped reaching out except for the thanks. So am I the fool? Am I the fool for not staying at my boyfriend's mom's house while we visit? So I, 30 female, am visiting my boyfriend's, 43 male, family out of state for the first time. I've briefly met them over the phone but not in person. The plan was to stay at his mom's house, which I wasn't opposed to until we got there. He hasn't been able to go home in a few years, and his mom's house has allegedly always been pristinely clean and well kept, but that was just not the case. The house was honestly in a state of disrepair, smelled horribly of dog and dog piss. She lets the dog go in the garage because she can't handle going outside at night. She lives in bumfuck no where there is zero danger. The dog would not shut up the entire first night. She should not have this dog and she can't handle it. Secondly, there is zero phone reception there and she has no internet. My boyfriend guaranteed he had cell service last time he was there. Zero. We had to drive several miles just to use our phones and plan what we were doing over the weekend. But the real last straw was the shower. I already don't like staying, bathing, and getting ready in other people's houses, but this shower was the most repulsive-looking shower I have ever seen. She has very hard well water and clearly has never scoured the shower once. Brown, black from top to bottom. IT was filthy. I couldn't do it. I told my boyfriend I want to stay in a hotel for the rest of the time here. He was upset but agreed and we booked one, but has been kind of grumpy about it since then, I can tell. I'm not trying to be insulting. I just feel like I was given a false assumption about where we were staying and it was nothing like that. His mom was also upset, but I literally would be going 4 days without bathing. Edit, to clarify, I do feel bad for this woman. However, we live 6 hours away and her other 2 sons live within an hour and 15 minutes away. So it's extremely frustrating that they are also aware of the house and don't help her. Secondly, we made several suggestions and offers of ways to have people come and clean and make repairs and she shut us down and said she didn't want to talk about it. You can only do so much. Am I the fool for not waking my father up in time to leave for his doctor's appointment and causing him to be late? Not the a-hole. My, 22 female, father, 51 male, had a doctor's appointment in the city 1 hour and 30 minutes away. Since the drive is so long, he asked me earlier that week if I would like to come up with him to keep him company and to look after his 2 dogs. I agreed since I work later that evening and his appointment was for 8 a.m. Since the appointment is so far away and so early, my father gave me the heads up that we had to leave no later than 6:15 a.m. in order to be on time. I set an alarm for 5:30 a.m. and accidentally snoozed it and woke up at 6 a.m. I rushed to get ready and thankfully was ready just in time for 6:15 a.m. My father had yet to come out of his room at 6:15, so I gave him some grace thinking he might be running late as well. Fast forward to 15 minutes later, he still had not come out. At this point I knocked on his door and found that he was still asleep. I woke him up and he was obviously distressed when he found out he slept in. While he was getting ready, I took the dogs outside to pee and put them in the truck. Around 5 to 7 minutes later he comes out and hurriedly gets in the truck. Immediately he begins to berate and belittle me for my stupidity for not waking him up and causing him to be late. He said I should have woken him up immediately when I saw he was not ready to leave at 6:15 and that I'm stupid and useless for not doing so. Furthermore, in the rush, we forgot to pack the dog's leashes, so he made me buy some at a pet store because it's my fault I didn't pack them and caused him to be late. He then went on to insult me throughout the entire drive up to his appointment and jabbed his fingers at my head talking about how stupid I am. I shut down and apologized and did not move or speak the entire drive up. Basically, I disassociated. I did not try to fight back because I knew there was no reasoning and did not want to anger him further. After apologizing multiple times, he continues to insult me, but a part of me feels like he's deflecting responsibility onto me out of anger. I feel like it's equally his fault since he's a grown adult who should be more than capable of waking up on time for his appointment on time. Am I the fool? Am I the fool for taking my daughter on a shopping spree? Context: I 35, female, have 2 kids, one being 13, female, and the other 10, male. My husband just took my son on a boys' trip to Michigan and I just got promotion. My son had been wanting to go on the boys' trip for months and my husband and I finally made the plans for it. Once they left, I told my daughter, let's go to the mall. She got all excited, which made me excited, and we hopped in the car. We went to Bath & Body Works and I got her a candle. And we went to American Eagle and she wanted a pair of jeans and earrings, so I got them for her. Then lastly, we got Starbucks after I took her to Ulta to get her a new mascara. I wanted to treat her since we couldn't go on a vacation. She was super happy and grateful. I wanted to use my promotion for good. Once the boys got home, my daughter was so excited to show her brother what she got. And he got so upset that she got all these cool things and he got nothing. My husband also said that I shouldn't get her all of these things and that it's not fair to my son. They had went on a week-long vacation. I don't want my family to pick sides. Am I the fool?